Hello, welcome to Revelator Alf. Here, going live. I'm just going to put these headphones in to talk about Harley Davidsons and all kind of things like that. Now, if you check in the link in the description below, you'll see there's a link to join this video screen. So if you want to come and join it, if you want to do a video call with me, discuss anything about Harleys or the Sport Glide, the Softails, you can do that. No problem at all. So all you need to do is click on that link. You go through the instructions. You'll need a Chrome browser, but you can do it off your smartphone as well. There's no problems with that. But say, join in the chat. I've got the comments open. So join in the chat. Let us know where you are. Let us know where in the world you are and all that kind of stuff. And if you got any questions, pop it in the chat and I'll try and address it there and then. But say if you want to do a video chat with me, if you want to come onto this live stream, then click on that link in the description, follow the instructions, and you will be able to join me and we can have a sort of face-to-face and, discuss that as well. And we'll kind of keep it shorter for everyone. Obviously, if you only feel comfortable doing it as well. Let me know if you can hear the sound okay and all that kind of stuff, and the quality of the video as well. I've had to shut all the curtains because of the light is really streaming in quite a lot now anyway. But anyway, look, I just thought I'd come on live. A bit of a hectic day today. I've just come back from a ride out and I've just made a video for it as well. So I'll upload that and edit that later and hopefully get it out quite soon as well. But it was a memorial ride that we did here. So that's all pretty good stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to do that. Say whatever comments, leave those comments. If you want to leave any super chat comments as well, please do. All the super chat goes to charity as well, so that's really good. Gotta say a big thank you to all the support again on the channel. Subscribers are going up, the views are going up as well, which is really good. There's also been support, from the website as well. If you go to the website on the right-hand side, there's support for either by PayPal or Patreon. Now, with the Patreon account, what I've done is I've actually started to add particular content on there as well. So if you want to support the channel, the growth of the channel, there is going to be more exclusive content on there, lots of behind-the-scenes stuff. You might have seen some videos that I'm putting up on social media, little short motorcycle video shorts. I shared a couple of those on the channel as well. And that's kind of experimenting with a lot of different things and also trying to bring, an audience over from social media onto the channel as well. So anyway, look, here we go. Got some people in already. Thanks very much. Hello, Rami Daoud. Hello, Rami Daoud. How are you? Hello, sound and audio. Okay. Thank you very much. J Rowan 107. Video quality is good. What do you think about the CEO of HG stepping down and what changes do you think will come? Well, that's an interesting one. I've done a couple of videos on this very subject. Actually, Cody Olsen, hello, thank you for joining. Love your videos, brother. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You have a 2020 FLSB. Good man. You see, I knew there was something about you, Cody. I knew there was. Good man. Right. Back to Matt Levitich, who actually stepped down. Well, it was over a week ago now, wasn't it? I think many people would kind of agree that it just hasn't gone right for Harley Davidson for a while, has it? Not only in terms of, because they've had fall in sales, they've had lots of riders leave the brand. They've had a lot of pressures from other manufacturers coming on strong in the same kind of motorcycles. Let's not forget Indian, but I'm not really talking about an Indian. You can talk about BMW. They've just launched their big cruiser as well. So there are other brands out there who are going to put on a lot of pressure. I just don't think that the way the company's been going for many, many years, and whilst they're riding a crest of a wave, with everybody had lots of money, let's say, and people were buying this stuff, that was fine. But as soon as the economy took a bit of a dip, then all of a sudden they still tried to carry on with their same way, started to produce still expensive motorcycles. And I just don't think it's been going in the right way. Now, the interesting thing for me, I say I've did a video on it as well, is the new chap that they've got in at the helm as acting CEO, which would be Joe Chen Zeitz. And he's come from Puma, but also other companies as well, got a good track record. But he was also... he's in for a hefty payout as well. As I said, he's on about $2.5 million a year. If he's there in post as acting CEO until they get the next CEO, he's going to get a $3 million payout. So people wonder why the bikes are expensive. Can you link that to the amount of money they're paying out? I think it's comparable to other big CEOs of other big companies out there, in all fairness. But I've got to say, yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? No, Harley, you know what I feel about Harley Davidson as a company. I think there's a lot of things that they could do differently. In terms of what they've done right, the Softail range, I think they've done absolutely right. I think that it's a brilliant platform. Hey, look, that's what brought me over. That's what brought me over. And I know that's what brought a lot of people over to it. I love the Sport Glide. Obviously, I ride it. I've just been out on it today, hooning about, and that was really good. And I'll talk a little bit about that later on. But they've failed a lot. Harley Davidson have, or certainly under the guidance of Matt Levatich, in my opinion. Not only on, it's about keeping up and evolving, but also spreading your wings too far, probably, and alienating a lot of people. And yes, there's always this dilemma, do you go after the next generation of rider, or you try and, keep the ones that you've got? And I don't think they've struck that balance. The pricing, they haven't struck that balance for me. But, there are a lot of good bikes under the Harley brand, but there are also a lot of duff ones as well. There's a lot of people who are riding Harleys thinking, why am I riding this when I can get something else that's a lot better, in inverted commas, or a lot more value for money? Other people would say, well, especially on the Tourer range, the Tourer platform, it hasn't really evolved properly, in line with other brands. I have sympathy with that, actually, because I do think they need to update that frame, that chassis a lot, and look at the suspension settings and all that. Yeah, but Taurus is where it's at, I suppose, especially in the North American market. Maybe not so much in Europe. We're more sort of the Softails, I suppose, and around the world as well. Asia, they've come up, with their sales, but the rest of the world has fallen down. So you've got to say that's why they've wanted to change things around a little bit. The live wire, whilst I suppose, it has had a little bit of a bump, it's never going to be the big seller that they want it to be. They keep on trying to bring out these new editions in the last couple of months. The CVO Road Glide, you've got a 30th anniversary Fat Boy, you've got the standard, which I'll talk about in a little bit, actually. And obviously the new paint scheme that they brought out this last week for the Road Glide as well, the patriotic red, was it, and the billiard blue. Nice paint schemes, I've got to say, but $1,900 for an extra paint scheme seems to be a lot. But, I think if that's your bag, I think you got a nice bike there, but it's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, I think. To be having that a bit of extra. I mean, their argument is that if you order it from the factory, you don't have to have, take off all the tins off your bike and have them strewn around the workshop and all that kind of stuff. Let me just get this a bit closer. But that's a bit feeble if you ask me. Look, a good paint job on your bike is going to probably cost that anyway. A good one. So it depends where you're at with it, whether you think it's worth it or not. I mean, I gotta say they're not my kind of colors, so I wouldn't necessarily think about having that. But but anyway, look, I think the interesting thing now with the new change of ownership, the heading of Harley Davidson, is what do they do next? You can only ever judge a company what they do next and whether it works or not. They are planning, or they were planning on a 2021, 2022 of a miraculous revival or miraculous turnaround. That's what their roadmap was, if you like, to turn the fortunes around with the company. The electric bikes, the new electric bike that will come out, the electrification of the smaller scooters and bicycles. That's what they're looking at. People are questioning whether they should really do that now, just abandon that and go. But look, they've just released new patents, European patents of the new Harley Davidson design electrification models. I think they're going that way. They're not going to turn their back on it, especially with the new CEO, Jochen Zeitz, who was actually one of the main players in the Livewire launch and promotion. So I don't think that's going anywhere. But I think they've got to look at this, many roads thing and look about where their clients are going to be and how much they're going to pay for them. That's my thing that I would say. But anyway, look, as I say, I just wanted to say a big thanks to everybody. I say, if you click on the link in the description below right now, okay, you can come and join me on this chat. You can ask me anything you want about the channel, about the way I'm making videos, what kind of rides I like. So I've just been out on a big ride just now. Well, when I say big ride, there wasn't a lot of riders. There's about 20 so riders, something like that. But it was a memorial ride. I've got a video I'll make about that coming out there, but I can talk about that. Sport Glide, great. I mean, it looks like, as we would say in England, it looks like a bag of spanners. It looks horrible right now. But I am going to be trying to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to be talking about trying to bring up the paint a little bit on my Sport Glide. I've got lots of little swirly scratches on it, and I need to rejuvenate it. So I'm looking at products now to bring the paint back up a little bit. Once it's cleaned and polished, it still looks great, but it's not like showroom. And I'd love it to be showroom again condition, as if it was fresh out of the dealership. My kind of riding, and I'm always riding it, so I don't think I'll ever achieve that. But so that's something I'm looking into. I say, but look, big thanks to all the supporters. So you can support the channel by the growth of the channel. What I'm filming this on now, the webcam. I've got a new HD webcam, and it's all the light is playing havoc with me in here today. I've changed the studio a little bit as well. So I've got some stuff coming in, so you have to put up with a t-shirt at the back there for the time being. But basically, there's going to be a mannequin there with a t-shirt on it. I'm going to have pictures on the back here and everything. So that's all changing over the next couple of weeks. This is all coming from the support and from what I'm getting from the channel right now. So everything is just basically just going back in to the channel now, still having lots of daily videos. You can see right now there's about 2 or 3 videos every day coming out, and a lot of that is sort of breaking up snippets of previous videos as well, of podcasts. Still right now every day you're seeing the clips of the video podcast interview I did with Russell Mitchell, XL Cycles, and I'm going to lead that onto the Softail Standard as well, which I think I'm going to kind of get back to him on that and see if he'll start doing some stuff for us. Not me in particular, as in us, as in the community, the wider Softail world, as it were. But there's still daily videos right to the end of the month. I am looking at experimenting with a lot of the channels, the way I'm making the videos as well, especially with the kind of motor vlogs. I'm going to try and be a bit more creative with those as well, and with some of the other motorcycle short videos as well, which I'm doing predominantly for the social media channels as well. Look, there's lots going on, as I say, but I'm trying to do different. I am still planning to go back to the Harley dealerships as well. I am looking at doing more product reviews and motorcycle reviews as well. Any suggestions you've got for that, send them in via the website if you want, and let us know your thoughts. But there is a lot of stuff. But from April, I'm going to try and make some changes. I'm debating whether I should still carry on with the daily content or whether I should try and do something a little bit more like 3 a week. one of the things I enjoy making the content for you guys on a daily basis, but I also, and my work load, if you like, my work ethic is geared towards that, to producing not only one single video a day, but multiple videos a day. But I think if I want to change the way I do things a little bit, I'm going to have to allow more time for it. That's in the editing, but also in the, traveling to different places and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot to consider when you're making the videos, of course, but also not just trying to do the same stuff over and over again. Now, the tech videos, the Sport Glide, predominantly Softail tech videos, they'll sort of carry on in the same vein. I am looking at where I could possibly in the future have my own workshop garage space where I can film in as well. That's something coming up. Possibly, we'll see after how the channel goes. I say everything's going to be reinvested in the channel to produce better stuff. So there's lots of stuff coming up into the end of the month, daily. And I say, I'm always experimenting with the channel as well and trying different things. You may have seen the series of videos, the motorcycle confessional videos, and this is basically where people are emailing in, or sometimes it's a comment, but mostly it's people emailing in with questions. And basically what I've done, I've taken the more light-hearted questions, no doubt, and tried to create this kind of, light-hearted view of, what people are asking. I'm sure a lot of these questions are just in jest anyway, but, I've tried to make it. They've worked, but I don't think they've been great. So I think I'm only going to do those until the end of the month. I've scheduled something until the end of the month, and then I probably won't do them for a while yet. I'll see. What I may do is use some of those questions that I get over the emails and save them for live streams, and then just do it over a live stream. That'll probably be a better way of doing it, as opposed to making it in individual videos. But anyway, so I don't think the motorcycle confessionals have worked for the channel in terms of a lot of stuff, but I think actually recently they've started to create a bit more comments. You guys are getting involved in it a little bit, so maybe they have worked. I don't know, but I say the motorcycle video shorts, I have been spending a lot of time, especially this last 2 weeks, coming up with ideas. And the idea for the motorcycle shorts is that they're telling a little story. They're telling a little, or trying to give a message across. But at the same time, the whole idea is to bring people from social media over to the website and to the channel as well. I started off with this TikTok. I don't know if you know it as well. I mean, I'm too old for all this sort of stuff as well, I know. And Instagram, IGTV for the longer videos. There's lots of stuff going into there to put information on there about Harleys, about workshops, about all sorts of stuff, about the thought processes of riding your bike or working on your bike, but then bring them over to the meat of the channel and the website really as well. But there's been great lot. I've just broken through, I think, 1,800 subscribers over yesterday, the last night. So that's great. I mean, it's really good, and the views have been going up month on month. And I think a lot of that is just because the amount of content that I'm putting out there as well, which is really good. So I have been hammering it, really trying to produce as much as I can. I would obviously just like to see a lot more. I would love to see a lot more out there, a lot more views, a lot more growth, a lot more engagement. But obviously the whole point of my channel is to add discussion, bring information to you guys, and talk about the bikes, what they can do, where they can go, riding experiences, and share. It's just about sharing information and a bit of entertainment as well. Yeah, of course it is, and a bit of all that sort of stuff. But I'm pleased that the channel's finally taken off a little bit, but I just wish I could get out there a little bit more and expand a little bit more. and that's why I've really tried to build up a whole foundation, not only in the videos of the channel, but also the website, the support pages as well, with this Patreon, PayPal, trying to raise money for charity with these super chats. If you want to leave a super chat down there, that'd be fantastic as well. You know, it's all about bringing it all up together, and hopefully at some point it will start, you know, being great. And the more it builds, the more I can produce better content, let's say, and more informative content. I want to go to a lot more motorcycle events, cover those. I want to do a lot more face-to-face videos with people as well. So the other thing that I've been doing a lot of is the Oh My Harley interviews, or the Oh My Motorcycles, that kind of thing. So I've interviewed a few well-known people, let's say, off YouTube, off the motorcycle industry. I wanted to do a lot more. I'm not sure how well they've been received, really. I think they've done reasonably well, but not amazingly well. But I still want to continue with the basic concept. So if they come along, I'll do something if they're of interest, if I think they can be of interest, but I'm not going to push at it right now. The other thing which I am going to continue with is the Harley dealerships. I'm going to go into more Harley dealerships, also the same Harley dealership here, starting to develop a relationship now where I can ask them directly your questions, the questions that you want to know about warranties, extended warranties, you know, what things are covered, what not covered, finance possibilities, you know, how can you finance your bike, or what is a better way to finance your bike, all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, sort of tech issues as well. So that's all in the pipeline. But you know, it's obviously, I don't want to just constantly just bring that stuff out all the time. I want to sort of mix it up a little bit, and hopefully, you know, that will carry on. Right. Anyway, so there's me. That's enough of me rabbiting on. Jorg, sorry, I missed you there. Hello, sir. How are you? How are you? A fine musician, Jorg. I know you are as well. So keep up the good work there as well. Yeah, I don't often engage right a lot on social media myself. Obviously, a lot of the stuff that I produce on social media is directly shared by the website, but also these little mini video shorts, or the photos which I share on Instagram from the channel as well. That's about as much as I do, but I do have a quick scan of what's going on in the social media world, and on Facebook as well. And I know on a couple of the sport guide groups, you know, I'll always have a little look through there. The Harley UK group, Harley Davidson UK group, I'll have a look there as well. So I mean, there's some good stuff there, and you know, I know a lot of you are on those social media channels as well. So I try and keep on top of, you know, what you're up to as well, as I say. But you know, one of the things that I decided many years ago was to not focus on the social media side, but more focus on producing the content. If I produce the content and then just share it to social media, you know, that's me creating and sharing information, as opposed to just aimlessly looking at, you know, social media, which is, you know, it's tiring at times. I'm sure you'd agree. Okay, now modifications. I've got a few videos coming up about modifications. Now, many of you might have already guessed. I'm sure you have already guessed the modifications that I've started to do on my motorcycle. Now, bearing in mind, when I first got the bike, what I said I would do is I'd look at the seat. I would look at some kind of rack system to take more baggage, more stuff on there. But handlebars, those were the first things and then I'll probably go to stage 1, stage 2, you know, upgrade. Not too sure about that right now, but what I've done, I've managed to get a seat. So a new seat, that's I've fitted that, everything. Now basically I fitted it, made a video for it, that's coming out soon, but then I've taken it off. The reason being is that whilst I got the new seat, and I won't tell you what it is, but you'll see the video and it's actually there. It's purely for, bought that seat purely for when I take passengers on there, whether it's my teenage son or whether it's my good lady. It's, whether on the back. And there is extra padding there, and you do feel as if you're a bit more comfortable for the longer rides. And I probably will change it for the longer rides. But the style of the seat, I actually prefer the stock seat. And I'm just wondering how many of you out there, let me just put this down here, how many of you out there prefer the stock over, a modified part? Hello, Mark. Hello. How are you? Good afternoon, sir. Yeah, so, I mean, that's basically what I've done. I've got a new seat for the bike. I've fitted it, tested it, made the video. That's coming out. But there will be, I've reverted back to the stock seat for what I normally ride around in. Now, the other thing that I've put on there is a rack. Oh, yes. Sorry. The docking hardware kit, I put that on there, so I made a quick video about that. A different style, but I've made that, so hopefully that's self-explanatory. You'll have to watch out for that video, because that video is a little homage, if you will, to a silent movie, a comedy silent movie from England many years ago, from the 70s, I think late 60s, 70s. And it's called Rhubarb. And basically in this, well, it's not a silent film, but all they say in the film is rhubarb. And basically that's what I've kind of done without using the word rhubarb, as it were. But anyway, so it should be self-explanatory, as opposed to trying to, fluff it out with lots of music and, whatever B-roll, as they like to call it. It's just fitting docking hardware. I mean, that's all it is. So that's that, fitting the docking hardware. And you might have seen a previous video and a previous live stream, which I said, actually, a nice guy out there, Brian, thanks very much, mate, contacted me and said he had a rack to whether I wanted it for free. And I said, thank you very much. It works perfectly. But again, it's test fitted, it all works and everything like that, but it's actually hanging up over there. That's where it is, on that wall over there. You can't see it, but it's behind the camera on that wall. Anyway, so whenever I need it to carry extra stuff, it's there, it's ready to go. So the next thing is the handlebars. So I went into the Harley dealership yesterday and I sort of discussed a few things with them. I've been looking at raising the bars just about an inch, 2 inches maximum. I want T-bars, so I'm looking at different options now. There's a company from Europe called Moteo. Let me just see where it is here. Is it Motea? They got a 10-inch T-bar for £98.80. ARH Customs from UK got nice bars as well. Lots of obviously the Harley bars, the Street Slammer, I quite like those, but they are they've got a pullback already in them. So kind of what I'm looking at is a T-bar, well, more like a drag bar to bring the pull back a little bit, but on the bar as opposed to on the riser. Straight risers up, maybe a bit of a drag. The only problem is I've seen the T-bars and they're straight, so that I'd be leaning forward a little bit, which is fine. It's one of those things, isn't it? Handlebars, it's a difficult one, because it would be great if you could go somewhere and into a dealership and say, right, okay, there's a set of bars on the wall. What we need for you is just grab the bars off the wall, just go and put them on your bike and see how they feel. If they had a whole display of bars, of generic bar types, let's say you got a pair of apes up there, you got a 16-inch apes or something, or 12-inch apes, whatever. You've got a T-bar or whatever, you got some pull. You could actually physically take the bars, just quickly size them up on your bike, and you say, yeah, okay, that's going to work. As opposed to, you're walking, you're trying to get the risers right. And I suppose the other thing is as well, I don't want to go too high, but I also want to see how high I can get away with without having to change the cabling, change the brake lines and everything. Now, according to the chap in the dealership, he was saying, no, anything you're going to change, you're going to have to change those brake lines and cabling. I was look at him going, yeah, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Not for the amount that I'm doing. Now, on the stock bars on the Sport Glide, they come up about 7 inches. I think maybe an 8-inch, 9-inch rise in total. I think 2 inches on top of that. I think, it'd be fine. Others have said, go up 4 inches and you'll be fine. I've had a quick play around with the cabling. I'm not so sure. It really depends on whether there's enough flex in there. I think 10-inch T-bars, I've seen people have done it, but there's hardly any flex in that at all. With it certainly on the brake line, you're gonna have to reroute the clutch cable. That's not a problem. The electrical wiring, you're gonna have to reroute as well. I think there's enough play in there, but I've got a feeling I'm gonna have to get extensions or new brake lines and everything like that. And a new clutch cable and maybe a new extension on the electrical as well. But there's options there. I mean, so I am definitely looking into that. But say, I've already started with the seat. So say, got the seat, got the docking hardware, got the rack. But fundamentally, the reason why I'm talking about this is now fundamentally, I do want to keep the bike relatively stock looking, not I want to say stock looking. It's stealthy like. That's what I want to do. Try and keep it stealthy like. So if I did a stage 1 or stage 2, the air filter, I want to try and get something that's going to be hidden behind the stock air filter cover, that kind of thing. And the same with the exhaust as well. I don't want to go too extravagant, too loud. I'm not necessarily that. I just want a bit more throttle response, I suppose. That's what I would go for, as opposed to, and a little bit of sound, but nothing too much. But I think the with the bars, it's going to be an interesting one because there's such a massive difference in price. You can go £200 or £300 just on risers alone with the bars as well. Or this Motea, I'm thinking about getting these black T-bars from Motea for about £100 and then just do an install video on them. And it's £100. I'll know if they're too tall for me as well. I've got to check with them. Now, the other thing you got to remember on the bars, you've got to have the little cutout, the little notch out for the throttle by wire, the cable-less throttle. So that's something like that. Not all bars are there. Not all bars will have match risers. Obviously, it can be done, but I'm just trying to find the most cost-effective way to do it, and also a way to say, well, actually, can I just do this myself, as opposed to, well, I can do it myself, or is it going to take me so much time when actually I could just take it to the dealership? If they give me a good price, I can get them to do it and, be done with it, really. I just don't want to have somebody tell me I definitely need to have cable extensions when maybe I don't think I do. It really depends how high I go. And because I'm not going that high, I'm only going 2 inches above stock. I think I should be all right. Anyway, Mark, wondered what your experience with neutral was on FLSB. Easy or hard to find? My FLS is a bit when engine is running, but much easier when off. Any thoughts? Okay, that's an interesting one. Are you operating the clutch 2 fingers or that kind of thing? Are you doing that kind of, okay, am I on camera here? There we go. When I first got the Sport Glide, I was putting it in because I'm used to riding with 2 fingers, right? On all my other bikes, it's just the way I always had it. More, or that kind of thing. More control on the grip, and sometimes on my older bikes is even 1 finger, right? But anyway, on the clutch on the Sport Glide, you pull in with two fingers. You don't always, you get past the bite part, but you don't pull it all the way back in, and it doesn't engage properly. So maybe check if you're pulling the clutch all the way in. That's one thing. The other thing is, if you're service also, if you've had a service, have they changed the oil? What kind of oil have they put in it? Different viscosities would you believe may help with the smoothness of finding neutral as well. So that's a couple of other things, but I think more than likely it's either you're going to have to make sure that you're pulling the clutch all the way in and then seeing about finding neutral, or you may need your clutch adjusting slightly, and you may need to back out your clutch from well, it can be anything up to 3/4. I mean, I can make a video for you as well, but you know, there are a couple of videos on YouTube as well which you can look at it. But you know, you can just, instead of, but sometimes they're set at about 1/4 or 1/2, when sometimes they need to be backed out, or back, you know, back out to about 3/4 of a turn, or backed the other way, if you know what I mean, to get that sensitivity right, and that when you're pulling it all the way in, so that you can easily find neutral. It will go in and out of neutral, in and out of gears. When you do your first service, your first 1,000-mile service, I'm pretty sure you've gone way past your first service. I think you are anyway. But just check on that. You know, if there's been an oil change, check your oil levels as well, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, all this has an effect, doesn't it? But as I say, it's going to be your clutch position or the way you're pulling it in. I definitely noticed when I changed my handling style, if you like, of the clutch, moved away from 2 fingers to a 4 finger. I could grip it in all the way in. Now also depends on your finger strength as well. You can go for, and obviously I'm not talking about you individual, I'm talking about all of us, you know, as we get older a little bit. If you've got a tight clutch, well, not brake, but a clutch, you can look at loosen it up a little bit. You can get like a clutch relay, as it were. What's the word I'm looking for? You know what I mean? Where you can actually, it just takes away the stress a little bit. They use a lot in motocrossing, so you can just have a finger, a single finger pull, as opposed to a 2-finger pull, or a 3 or a 4-finger pull. Do something like that. You're due a 5K service, and will HG do it because of warranty? What oil do they use for your 5K service? I think just a standard oil they use for mine. I can't remember actually, but just a standard oil. Nothing different as well. Check your oil level on your transmission there, Mark, as well. But definitely go out to your bike and go and try and pull it in half. Try and do it. You know, change your gear in and out of neutral, and then pull it all the way in so it's touching the grip. If it touches the grip, then try and change it. If you're still having problems finding neutral, then I think your clutch needs to be adjusted. When you're going for your 5K service, go and have a word with the dealership. I think you're down at Guildford, aren't you? Have a word with them, see if you can get them to change it around. It might be just that you know, it's an oil level issue, it's an oil viscosity issue that needs to be sorted out as well. It might be because it's you're running at a relatively colder temperatures as well, because we're coming out of the winter. Lots of things in play there, but I would say first things first. For me, I found pulling it all the way in. That's what made the massive difference. And to me, and even now, I've got to say, very rarely you think, oh, I can't find neutral. And it is because I haven't pulled the clutch all the way in. You know, so you go past the bite, but it's not quite enough to get out of that neutral. Remember, the first gear to second gear is the clunkiest of the gears. It's the most difficult, and it's the way the gears are cut as well. There's a different cut, there's a different splice, if you like, in the gearing from the first to the second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth, of course. So you'll see that. Anyway, there we go. Hope that helps. Oh, sorry, you're welcome. You're welcome, Mark. Anyway, right. Jorg, autocorrection sucks. Thank you. What's that? Oh, must have missed what you said before. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome, Jorg. Oh yes, because I said you're a great musician. Yes, I say go check out Jorg on Facebook. He does really cool stuff there. Anyway, right. Zach Veer. Hello. How are you? Right. I was a kid at the bike run. Oh, today. That's right. You came over to me, asked me about the what I was doing with the camera. There we go. And you handed me the leaflet for the rally. There we go. Hello, Zach. How are you? Good that you tuned into the channel. There we go. Right. So yeah, I mean, I was at this memorial bike run today. Now it's in aid of Fred Hill. And I say I'll make a video out of it, and I say I took some footage, and I'm going to try and edit together and piece it together. But basically, Fred Hill was a guy from the 1970s rider who'd never ridden with a helmet, and well, there wasn't any helmet laws at the time, and he'd he was dispatch rider, or I think something like that, from the forces. Anyway, they changed the laws in the UK where you had to ride motorcycles with a helmet. He wasn't in agreement with that, and especially because Sikhs who wear a turban didn't have to wear a helmet because of the religious headdress that they're wearing, and also because it was deemed that it was suitable enough. So he took umbrage to this basically and thought, well, this is against my rights of choice and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, cut a long story short, he got in trouble with the police so many times for not wearing a helmet, and he was doing it on purpose and all this sort of stuff. He had lots of fines. He didn't pay the fines. He was getting in and out of prison, short-term prison sentences for it. Unfortunately, one of the last times he was in prison for not paying his fines, all this kind of stuff, he succumbed to a heart attack. Now, people would say, was it just old age? Was it all the pressure of this against him that caused it? Who knows? But anyway, so this brought the birth, if you like, of the, I wouldn't say the birth of, but certainly in conjunction with the Motorcycle Action Group starting. If you're in the United States, you've got that ABATE, and different countries have got their own motorcycle lobbying groups. So I think it's very much that, it's a whole point of Motorcycle Action Group, which I am part of as well. It's that it's a checks and balances for me. It's about having a system in place where you as a rider, you as an individual citizen, you can voice your concerns and collectively voice your concerns and lobby local governments, local councils, local policymakers, and national policymakers and governments, wherever you are in the world, and to raise attention to anything that's being done. So let's say if there is a law that's going to come introduced, and you say, look, hey, we don't agree with this. And sometimes, and the way it works now in the Motorcycle Action Group in the UK, they've actually got quite close relationships with government bodies, government agencies, to actually say, well, let's have a discussion about certain issues. So whilst most people in this country would not dream of not wearing a helmet on the roads anymore, I think there's always been a place of, well, you can be selective. Let's say if you're riding very slowly, very slow cruising, yeah, you could argue that not wearing a helmet is, you have the responsibility for your own actions, and if something happens, that's up to you. I think that the whole point is that you have the responsibility of yourselves. Motorcyclists can make their own decisions. But this memorial run is to honor not only him, Fred Hill, as a person for standing up for what he truly believed in, but also it's a reminder to everybody to say, look, you've got to, stand your ground, raise awareness of things that are come out, whether you agree with it or not, whether you think it's right or wrong. So many people would say, well, why would you go on this motorcycle run, on this memorial run, when you wear a helmet and you're pro helmets? I am pro helmets, but I'm more pro choice. And that's what I would say to anybody. I'm more pro choice. And I've always said that blanket statements about anything are a bad idea. Anybody, I was involved with motorcycle safety for many, many years, had my own motorcycle safety program for many years. And I would always say to people, look, if you put labeling something as the ultimate cure for something, you're gonna come unstuck quite quickly. And it's the same with people who said, oh, riding with this or without this piece of equipment is dangerous or it's not dangerous. There's more to it. There's more variables in a simple yes and no, and that's where I see it. It's, with motorcycle helmets, I do think they're a good idea, but I think there are limited occasions, very limited occasions, with mature individuals as well, that you can ride without a motorcycle helmet, because it's similar to riding or walking or running. You can trip over, you can fall over from a standing position. If you hit your head, you can die quite quickly. It's as simple as that. But very limited. It's rare that will happen. Very slow speed riding can, yeah, I agree, but nonetheless, people's right to choice, I think, is more important. There's always a counter argument. I know that. But anyway, so that's where I was today, and it was good. It wasn't a mass turnout. The point is that they tried to organize this a few weeks ago, and it's usually in mid-February the memorial runs happen. But unfortunately, weather has played a big part here for that. But it was nice. About 20 odd bikes, probably something like that. It was a nice little convoy going up to. We ended up in Oxford, and then Oxford Centre, and it was good. We met up with a few others. I say lots of people didn't turn. I think the weather was. The forecast is supposed to be for lots of rain today, so I think many people didn't turn up because of that. But it was nice. It was a nice little turnout, which is good. There you go. Chris Jones, hello from Sydney. God, you're all the way over there, somewhere. Well, hello. Good morning to you. Good morning, Chris. Tell us what you ride. You I think I've recognised you from before. Are you riding a Softail? Are you riding a Sport Glide? I can't ride. I don't know. But anyway, right. So that's what I've been doing today. So it was a bit of I had to drop my lad off this morning at one of his classes. Rush back here, quickly walk the dog, get out, get on the bike, put on all the waterproofs and all that kind of good stuff. Grab my camera gear, quickly hoon it down the motorway to the services. I just made it literally as they were about to set off. I managed to grab a quick interview with one of the guys there. He kind of wanted to hurry up and go, and I was like, no, quick, let's do this interview quick for the video. I'm making a video. YouTube's more important. I don't think he agreed with that. But there we go. No, he's a good bloke, Pete, so I know him very well. Anyway, so and then they went off on their ride. I had to quickly put on my gloves and everything. It took me ages to catch up with them. I know Harleys aren't the quickest things in the world, and I didn't break the speed limit, honestly, to catch them up. But it took me a while to get up there. The good thing is they were riding 5-10 miles an hour below the speed limit anyway. So to try and keep everybody together, it was good. It was a good way to do it, actually. But I eventually caught up with them, and I got some footage of approaching them, riding past them, and I zoomed off ahead and then quickly got off the bike and got a picture of them riding past as well. You'll see it all in the video as well. Hopefully it'll all come out great. I haven't looked at checked the footage yet, because then I quickly rushed back here and then to set up for this as well. So there we go. Yeah, that was a busy day. Right. Okay. Now, kind of a couple of things I want to discuss with you guys about the Harleys. Now, I got an email back from Harley Davidson this week about the Street Bob. Okay, so any of you guys who are riding street bobs out there, this is for you guys, and this is the street bob, not on the Dyna platform, I should say, on the Softail chassis, right? The new ones. There was a misprint of the front tire pressure PSI. In the original owner's manuals, I think it was at 30 PSI. On the information portal, the service information portal from Harley Davidson, it was also at 30 PSI, whereas in the newer, I believe, the newer 2019, 2020 street bobs and the on the service manuals, it's at 36 PSI. 36 PSI is a kind of a standard tire pressure for the front anyway. Lots of people were at 30 psi, and also my mate Dave as well. He notified me that he was on 30 psi. The reason is that I actually put some service information sheets on the, like a checklist, if you will, on the website. You can go and download those for free on the Harley Parley page. Any information you want from the website for Harleys, either go to the resources page or go to the Harley Parley page, and you get all the downloads there. Anyway, so I put 30 psi on the original service information sheet because that's what it actually said on the owner's manual in the service information bulletin, service information portal, I should say. But it's actually 36 psi. Harley Davidson came back to me. They confirmed that it was a misprint, that it hadn't been changed, but it was 36 psi. So there we go. It's printing Sarah, and that's been rectified now. Okay, the next point is from DRLs on the Softails, well, all the Harleys of the newer Harleys. Lots of people are getting confused with the daytime running lights. Are they that effective and all that kind of stuff? Which lights are on? So, if you've got the, LED lights, you've got the halo ring around it. That is effectively your daytime running light. Your headlight is on, for want of a better word, and that's it. Once you actually switch on to main beam, if you like, that's you got a full beam on there as well. There are alternatives, as we know, to it. You can go online, you can get the adaptive headlights, and the adaptive headlights are the ones that the beam changes whenever you're turning, you're going into a bend or anything like that. So some people aren't that happy with the daytime running lights, or they think they should be brighter. Actually, they don't need to be brighter. They are what they are. Those are the daytime running lights on there. It's just the way they call it, daytime running lights. I think it's just more of a it's almost implied that there should be extra lamps on the bikes. I know some bikes, obviously it depends on your particular bike, whether you got a Tourer, Softail, which type of Softail, all that kind of stuff, which lights are actually wired up. But if you got a sort of single light, then it's all going to be encompassed in one within the LED unit as well. I've had other comments this week as well about changing front lights, front and rear indicators, and rear tail lights as well about it. Now, if you've got the LEDs, you're going to have to change those as a unit. Okay, the rear tail light, if it's an LED, you have to change it as a unit. If it's a bulb, depends on which bike you've got, you can just take off the lens, outer casing, and just change the bulb. But if it's an LED, you're gonna have to change your whole unit. Same with the turn indicators on the rear. Depends on which bike you've got, you're gonna have to change the whole unit. I'm looking at possibly putting inserts in the front turn indicators, which for me on my Sport Glide are bulbs. Okay, and I've got smoked lenses on mine. I actually like the look of it, but I'm thinking about putting LEDs in the front. There's a place on eBay, on Amazon, that do them. Really good, really cheap alternative, and there's two styles. You need to get the correct style because there's no turn light on there. You want the ones without the turn. The stop light. You don't want the one with the stop light on. There's a code. I can't. It's It's either 2017 or 2015. I can't remember the actual numbers anyway, but there's a difference there. But anyway, yeah, so to change those out, you need to change the whole unit, or you change the bulb. If you want, you can have them, obviously, if your bike's under warranty. Oops, hello, there we go. So I've just kicked the camera. There we go. If you want, you can see about it changed on warranty if there is a problem. There shouldn't be a problem, especially with the LEDs, unless there's some kind of circuit board issue. Bulbs, yeah, bulbs can go at any point, of course. That's that. Right, sorry, there we go. Right, as I say, before I go on to the next thing, just want to remind anybody, if you want to come in on the video chat right now, you can by clicking on the link in the description, and you'll see StreamYard. There is a link there. You can click on that and you can come and have a video chat with me and ask or any sort of questions that you want. If you want to give a super chat in your comments as well on the chat, that's great. Thanks very much. Any money that goes to a charity of choice. A charity of choice, if you go to the website on the right-hand side, you'll see it. There's a banner there. There's a picture there. And that we click on that picture with the charity, and it will go to a Just Giving page as well. So anyway, so any monies from that, over these will go to that as well. As I say, all the support pages on the website, Patreon as well, exclusive content going on the Patreon as well. And there's also lots of new types of videos being produced on the social media side of it as well. There's also behind the scenes videos going on the Patreon. And all those motorcycle video shorts are going on the Patreon first, as well as the behind the scenes, before they go onto social media. And then a couple of those longer videos, over a minute ones, they're coming onto YouTube as well afterwards. But most of that is to get people, as I say, coming in. But say lots of support from you guys. And so the subs are coming up, the views are coming up. It's really good to have all that. So thanks very much. Thanks for all the support and support coming from the not from the Patreon as yet, but from the PayPal as well. That's really good. It helps to grow the channel. It's one of those things. But say those super chats, those are the ones that are all going to go to charity as well. So anyway, but I'll leave that up to you guys. Right. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is loose fitting racks or sissy bars on the docking hardware. Now, a lot of people have found there's a bit of a rattle there. There's a bit of play. The way you can fix that is there are a couple of options. You can either, and I was speaking to one of the guys, Scoot actually, he had an issue. I don't think he put a Harley sissy bar or sissy or a rack on there. I think he'd put an aftermarket one. I can't remember where it was, somewhere from Germany. I can't remember. It might have been from Motea actually. But anyway, we're talking about putting washers there, half washers on there. But I think actually probably the easiest thing to do, whilst you might still have some lateral play in it, if you put a spacer in there to stop that lateral play, that might help it. But actually, you can stop the lateral play, but by just making it a very tight fit. The way to do that is to wrap a bit of electrical tape on the bobbins on the docking hardware kit, and see when you put the sissy bar on or the rack, whatever it is, it might be a tighter fit on there, and that will actually stop the rattling. So try a bit of electrical tape on those that docking hardware kit and see if that works out for you as well. But that should stop the rattling. Okay. The other question that came in this week was about oil service, and it's kind of similar to what Mark was alluding to earlier on. The oil of choice for your engine, transmission, and primary. Now, what is the best oil to choose? Well, the thing is, in terms of, let's say, warranties and everything, you kind of want to, whilst nobody's going to really go to town on you, you've got to factor in that you want to stick with the manufacturer's recommendations of what the oil of type should be. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stick with the same branding, or from Harley Davidson as well. Now, you could use it, there's nothing wrong with it, but you don't have to stick to it. So that's the thing that you want to consider. Now, I would say that actually generic branding is fine as long as the weight is there. And let's face it, you're not going to have the oil in there for 100,000 miles. You're going to be changing it every couple of thousand miles or every 5,000 miles as well. So do you know what? I don't know. Look, there's lots of options. You just got to do your research on there. What types of oil is out there? But I would say, generic oil. It doesn't have to be Harley Davidson oil. It certainly doesn't have to be. And you've also got latitude within the oils as well, as to which favors colder temperatures, which favors warmer temperatures. This is all to do about the composition, the compounds within that oil, and also the viscosity, the thickness of that oil as well. So have a look at that, because there are differences. The Harley oil is supposed to be quite good, the good reports from it, but you can get cheaper alternatives out there. But I suppose, how much cheaper is it really going to be? You can get really, really cheap oil. I wouldn't really go for really, really cheap oil. I wouldn't necessarily go for the most expensive oil when they got exactly the same properties per se. But somewhere in between, some generic oil, that'd be fine as well. Okay, the other question that came in as well. I was made aware of something that went out on a message board a few days ago about I hadn't seen this myself, but when a check oil light, when your oil light comes on, and what was the cause of it? Now, basically, what happened was somebody had work done on their bike. I think they'd had a stage 2 torque cam put in, and they'd ridden it down the road for about 100 miles, something like that. Then the check oil light, or the oil light, came on, and they didn't know what was going on. They checked the oil level. The oil level was a bit low. There were no oil leaks and all this kind of stuff. Okay, essentially, what happened was that there are breather bolts or in the head, okay, in the head vents, and they got blocked. So they were blocked, and that stopped the oil pressure changing within the oil circuit, if you like. So it's a pressure stasis, so nothing was changing, therefore was nothing really flowing. So the oil pump was really just pumping. It wasn't really pumping oil, because it wasn't cavitating, because there was oil there, but the pressure differential wasn't allowing it to flow freely. You had a build up in the crankcase as well. Nothing was returning on the scavenge line, on the return line, because these oil vents, if you will, these breather vents were blocked. Yeah, they cause this check oil. Now, the check oil light can come on for so many different reasons, but obviously one of the reasons is if you got no oil in it. Whilst the engine had oil and the system had oil in it, it wasn't leaking, because these breather bolts had been blocked. There's a pressure change, and it wasn't allowing for the oil to move around freely. So once they replaced the bolts, and it worked absolutely fine. But if you've got your check oil light come on, first thing to do, pull over. Do not ride that bike. Make sure that what's going on. Second of all, check your oil level. Make sure the oil level, you've got enough oil in there. If you've got no oil in it, then you got to say, okay, is it leaking from anywhere? What's going on? If you've had a catastrophic failure of something, maybe an oil line or whatever, as a rock just bounced up, hit your oil cooler, whatever, cracked one of the internal pipes, who knows? But that I thought this was very interesting, actually, that the oil breather bolts vents had blocked up. Now the question is, why had they blocked up? I don't know. I mean, in looking in the service manual, I think you have to take these bolts out to do a torque cam change. Was there a bit of dirt, in the workshop? Did they put them down? And they get blocked. I don't know. I mean, you think it's very rare that why would these breather bolts, lock up? Very interesting. But anyway, look, if anybody knows, if anybody's ever heard of any of these breather bolts, blocking up, let us know in the comments below afterwards. But as I say, there's an interesting one, I thought, because check oil likes to come on, and it's come on for an unconventional reason. But the end result was the same. Oil wasn't circulating, and it wasn't scavenging back to the oil reservoir, as it were. So there we go. Sarge, hello Sarge, how are you? I'm using HG Syn 3 and the new thicker Syn oil for the transmission. Yep. Yes, it's expensive, because how thick or HD can be in covering warranty. I'm sticking. Yeah, look, I'm with you on this. Whilst I don't necessarily agree with the whole going for branding products because it's branded, I would. You hear scare stories, and you kind of people email me with their some of their experiences as well of what's happened, and you think, do you know what, I'm not going to take any chances, I'm not going to take any risks, I'm just gonna get this sorted out. So that's why I would agree with you. Just stick with it. Just stick with the stuff. If you're not going to do the work yourself, just if you're going to take it to a dealership, whatever, just let them do it, of course, or could take you. Once you're out of warranty, of course, then fill your boots, do whatever you want, put whatever oil in. And look, as long as it's got oil in it, as long as it's, fine, the right kind of grade of oil, then you're not going to have a problem, are you? But anyway, I thought that was very interesting. I thought it was very interesting about the head box there. So the breather bolts being blocked there. But there we go. Right, so basically that's it, guys. Yeah, so it's I just wanted to cover a few things with you. Obviously, there's been big changes at Harley Davidson, as we know. The CEO has changed. We've got the interim, or they have got the interim CEO. Let's see what happens. There's no real news on the new bikes, on the Pan America and the Bronx. Not that. And nobody's ever heard. There's been a real delay and all that sort of stuff coming in. We got the new bikes that have come out, all the variations on the bike. The Softail Standard, they've relaunched the Softail Standard. Of course, as we know, made a video about that. Interestingly, as I said, this was the point I wanted to make. I interviewed Russell Mitchell from Exile Cycles. Really nice guy. Really coming. It's the whole podcast is on the channel. You can view that, and they've got the little short clips. They're on the channel right now, being released every day. If you want to go and just listen to the podcast, because I know sitting around and watching a video for 2 hours might be a bit too much, but if you're driving somewhere and you want to put a podcast on and listen to that, that's what I tend to do actually with a lot of them. When I review my videos, I download the audio and then play it on my way if I'm driving somewhere. So especially the longer videos. So I tend to listen to podcasts as well, but also watch the podcasts as well. So if you've got the option, you can go to the website and download the podcast from the website. All the podcast links are on the right-hand sidebar as well. But when I spoke to him, we were talking about, and a lot of his products, a lot of his bikes were started off on the original Softail. The standard as was, and I think a lot of his stuff that he makes, I think works really well, would work really well on this new Softail Standard as well. The question is about the Softail Standard: what is it that you're really getting that a Street Bob doesn't give you? Or why would you go for a Street Bob when you got the Softail Standard, unless you just like the blacked out look of the Street Bob? And then, or you prefer the brushed aluminium or the chromy look from the Softail Standard. You save a bit of money. I think with the Standard, as was before, but is now, it is that base bike, isn't it? So if you've got it in your mind, saying, right, I'm going to have a bike as a base bike, and then I still think it's priced too much for an absolute base bike, but I think you're going to be spending money on it as well. If you want a, and I was thinking, do you know what? Yeah, I can see that. If I was looking for a bike that I wanted to make my own completely, it would either be a street bob or a Softail standard as a kind of little bar hopper type thing, just cruising around, just going out, having a bit of fun. Yeah, I can see that. And I think, that bike more than anything lends itself for custom producers to come and, build, parts for them. I think, these older custom bike builders who are kind of getting into their parts a lot more these days, if they need to jump on this Softail, the Softails, I think, and start producing parts, casings, covers, a lot more for them. A lot, expand the range of what you can have, not only for the Sport Glide, but obviously, actually for all the Harleys, really. Just produce a lot more. Don't rely on the conventional producers. Don't rely on the Harley Davidson, because let's face it, you've got a lot of people out there now, a lot of riders who have bought into the new Softails, who've bought into the new Harley Davidsons, and there is a custom market for it. There's definitely a custom market for it. I love my custom bikes. I love tinkering with bikes, or I did. I don't do so much of it now, but I think there's definitely a market out there. So there's lots going. Anyway, look, there's so there will be more modifications on my bike coming out, more videos, more tech videos coming out as well. There's going to be sort of handlebar stuff coming out over the next 2 or 3 months. I'm going to be looking at lighting, be looking at sort of servicing mechanical stuff as well. But anyway, yeah. So there are alternatives out there for inexpensive handlebar replacement. Let's put it that way. I think there is, but it should still be quality. Oh, there's one final thing about Harley Davidson. Some of you may have noticed this, may not have noticed this. The kickstand, the Jiffy stand on some of the Softails. This is the Softails, not the Taurus. And the newer Softails that have got the different types. There are different types of Jiffy stand, side stand, depending on which bike you've got. Some of them have become a little bit loose. The spring is a little bit loose, or there might be a bolt that has worked itself loose as well. You've got to watch that. You got to watch that because a couple of people have contacted me saying, when they're banking the bike over, banking it left, they're scraping the Jiffy stand. And they said, well, why is that? I said, well, you should not be scraping the Jiffy stand. Your pegs should be scraping first. So why is that Jiffy stand scraping? The reason is because there's a weak spring on it, or you got a defective spring, or it's loosened up somehow and it's starting to hang down. It's a bit low-hanging fruit on the kickstand. So watch that. Go check your bikes over. Just check the bolts. Make sure they're all tightened up. Check that spring. If you've got a very easy kickstand, Jiffy stand that wants to come out and it's already hanging out, you already know there's a problem there. So, you might want to check it out. I've noticed on my Sport Glide, there is a little bit of droop on there, as it were. It's not as crisp as when it was first new. It's 6,000 mile bike now, something like that, but it's not as crisp. So you've got to be aware of that. So check your bikes, whatever it is. Right. Mark, you're Mark. Yeah, you're asking, did you notice much difference when you changed to Sin 3? You're asking Sarge. Right, there we go. So that's it. I think that's what Paul. Hello, late to the party, but unfortunately, that's it. I've drank too much, and it's time for me to go and go and say goodnight. But never mind, Paul. You can watch back afterwards anyway. It's just me talking nonsense mostly. But anyway, look, thanks for joining, everybody. Thanks for joining the chat. Please leave your comments below. Let us know what you think as well. So there's, bits of new information that came out this week. That's why I wanted to do the live stream as well. So there's lots of updates on the channel. There's going to be lots of new videos, lots of tech videos, a few modifications on the bike as well. I'm toying with whether I do the videos of me installing this stuff or whether I do a link up with the dealership and video them doing the install as well. I don't know which is the best way to do it right now. That's the honest truth. I don't know which would make the best video. I've got a feeling I may go via the dealership route, more about time, but also I think it might make a better viewing video for everybody as well. But I can discuss things with them anyway. But that's by the by. Anyway, look, hope you enjoyed that. As I say, please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for all the subscribers, but go and subscribe. Click on the bell next to the subscribe button, and you will get all the new videos as well. The support pages, Patreon and PayPal, are on the website link. Thanks for that. I am putting more content on Patreon as well, exclusive stuff. Check out the social media channels as well. You'll see all the motorcycle short videos which I'm producing as well, exclusively for there as well. There's lots of behind the scenes stuff coming now on that Patreon which I'm putting there. So there's lots of work. There's lots of work going into the channel. Hopefully you appreciate that. Hopefully the information coming to you is good as well. Good discussion topics. If you want me to cover anything, just email in via the website revelatoralf.com. Let us know. I've already had this week about 10 emails from people asking me about different things, about making videos on different subjects. Please keep on sending them in, because whilst my mind is constantly working overtime with different ideas, it's always good to have your input on what you'd like to see as well. Because I don't want anybody to forget this, that I make the videos for my own interest, of what I'm learning, what I find out, what I want to do, but also it's about you. Guys, it's always about you guys and sharing that information with you, or answering your questions, or getting answers to your questions as well. Anyway, Paul, one final thing. My friend is waiting for a new spring on his Jiffy stand on his Sportster 48. 6 weeks HD have told him. This is a massive problem. Oh, Paul, why did you bring this up right at the end of the live stream? Oh my God, I'm going to have to spend another half hour here talking about Harley Davidson parts. Yes, they have a massive issue going on right now. They've had a big warehousing change. They've swapped warehousing changes a lot from Europe, for the European market, from America to Europe, but they've also within the United States as well. If you remember, Paul, you in particular, I think it was about September, October last year, you were looking for parts, and I was saying, actually, on the online parts process on the websites, they changed things up. There wasn't the information there. They'd lost a lot of information on pricing, on availability, all this kind of stuff, right? It started from then. That's when it started from, that they were having the 2020 models were announced, and all of a sudden the parts started going a little bit crazy there. I think in part a lot of that is, this is a contributing factor towards the CEO has left, Matt Levitich has left, the hassles that lots of people are having with the brand. But they've had a major restructure and it hasn't quite worked. Basically, it will happen in time, but it hasn't worked. That's why people are waiting a long time for their parts. Ridiculous amount of time. I'm still waiting on some 3M tape, which they promised me from under the fairing, since whenever I had it back. When was that? That was October, I think. October they did the job. Still haven't got it. So it's ridiculous, really. I mean, I've made my own tape now, so forget it. But there we go. Yeah, there we go. Yes, Paul, that's correct. Yeah, so we did have that conversation. We were talking. It's been going on such a long time. There's no real answer to it. The dealerships, you can't blame the dealerships, because this is purely a Harley Davidson issue, motor company issue. This is them. They have not pulled their finger out and sorted out this mess. And it is a mess. It is a mess. Not only here in Europe, not only in the Far East, in Australia, whatever, it's in the United States massively, in Canada as well. Now, you might have some dealerships, you might have parts. So it depends whether one dealership will ring around, and speak to other dealerships and say, we need this part. Have you got this part? It depends. Some may do that. Some may not do that. If you've got a dealership that's part of a chain of dealerships, like I have here locally, they may do that. They might have the part within their collective stores. The way they've done the stores in the UK, if you watch my dealership videos, we kind of briefly talked about this. The way they do it in Europe now, that a lot of it has all gone to Europe now, European stores, and then each dealership has like a store within the store, if you know what I mean. So they have their bulk of parts there, which they can call upon. But again, it's how that is replenished from the United States or from the suppliers. They have moved production of different parts, different components, different motorcycles away from the United States in some cases, some in India, some in the Far East as well. So it's, there's lots of issues there. I think, definitely the parts for Harley Davidson is a big issue, and I think why is that? That's the question. Why is it? Just incompetence? Is it just that they got a structure in place that isn't quite right? Are they having an issue with their suppliers of things? Is it all parts, or is it just specific parts? But let us know. I mean, let us know in the comments afterwards. Let's everybody have a bit of an idea on this. If you've got any problems with your parts. What's it? Maybe I'll do more of a research video on this as well, and try and get to the bottom of it. And maybe I'll contact Harley Davidson direct and see what they say. I may contact Harley Davidson Europe worldwide and see if they've got any answers as well. Maybe they can rest people's fears as well, and come up with a date when everything will all be solved. Who knows? But anyway, yes. But yeah, so look, the springs on the Jiffy stands, they can warp out. Now, bear this in mind. If you can't get that specific spring from Harley Davidson as a temporary thing, if it is hanging down, you can go to spring suppliers, if you want to use a better word. Get the same spring. If you can find out what the spec is on that spring as well, you can go to a spring supplier, and they can, you can find a spring. A spring is a spring, doesn't matter what it is, as long as it does the job, and it's got the same spring, compression, recoil rate, or whatever you want to call it. Obviously, I'm sure there are people out there. There's going to be spring specialists, aren't there? Spring people are in the know about what spring properties are. Anyway, you'll be able to get other ones, even if you can't get it from Harley Davidson. It was you're waiting on apart from, if you want to retain the authentic part numbers, of course. But in the meantime, if you've got low hanging fruit and your Jiffy stand is hanging down low, you may want to think about that before you do that. So, do you know what? Get yourself another spring. You probably get one for about £3 or $5 or whatever, as opposed to paying $30 for one from Harley Davidson. But there we go. Anyway, right, I'm out of here. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed the live stream or all the info. Lots of stuff. Say, I will do another live stream again. I will give you the opportunity to come and join the video chat if you want, with the link as well. But it's going to be, hopefully I'll do it once a week. I'm aiming to do a live stream once a week for you guys. Any information that I find out from the Harley Davidson world, any information that is sent to me, then we'll talk about it. And more about these questions that people send me as well. I'll try and start including those into the live stream as well. But anyway, look, so all I can say is please subscribe to the channel, click on the bell as well, and so leave those comments, like and share on all that kind of good stuff, and you know, tell everybody to come over to you know, Revelator Alf, and to the channel, and yeah, start engaging, help grow the channel and do a little bit more. Say lots of stuff coming out. Right, I've got gonna have a bit of a rest and then get some editing done for that video which I did today, that filming which I did today on the memorial run. Right, that'll be coming out soon. Lots of videos coming out daily. I'm just rambling now. Catch you again whenever that is, and thanks for joining, and see you again. Ta-da now.